New OGs. New OGs is a State Madison Entertainment production and is brought to you by Solar Masters. Look, Illinois is changing how people get their electricity, and Solar Masters is helping homeowners in Illinois take advantage of a program that lets them get solar power at no cost. If you're a single-family homeowner in the state of Illinois, you can lower your electric bill, you can raise the value of your home, and you can do something good for the environment without paying a single dollar out of your pocket to do so. In fact, Solar Masters can only work with you if they can save you money. Solar Masters is a Black-owned solar dealer. They're a SunPower dealer, an American panel maker with over 30 years of solar experience. And for the end of 2020, they're also giving a $1,000 cash rebate to anyone who goes solar. They even have a referral program that pays out as much as $500 per referral. So head over to www.gosolarmasters.com and get in contact for a free consultation or to refer someone you know. We are also brought to you by People of Comedy.
Hey.
That is a network that we are on right now. If you are watching us on Facebook Live or Twitch or YouTube, wherever you're finding us, you can watch. You can always watch New OG's podcast on YouTube or Facebook Live. We've thought about doing Twitch. We're not sure. People of Comedy is everywhere, and it's not just us. People of Comedy has a number of great podcasts that you can check out. They span from all types of different subjects, from pussy power to what's going on in comedy show business. So make sure you get to People of Comedy. It's People of Comedy Network on Instagram. Is that right, James?
That is correct.
People of Comedy Network on Instagram. It's People of Comedy on Twitter. Find their shows, get involved, check out everything. What's going on? We have a different person in the house. You're not Excel.
No, not at all. Not at all. I don't do it. I don't do anywhere near the crime that he does. Anywhere near.
We might have a peaceful episode for once. We may not get caught up in.
I just wanted to chime in on this People of Comedy thing. Dig it. Jay Webb, you guys, man, I am so proud of what Chicago is getting done. Like you guys are killing the game. See, this the thing, man. I'm an old dude. I've been doing this a long time. And what I'm saying to you is enjoy this moment in time, because you guys are actually a part of a scene. Like, it's going to come a time where you're going to grow and you're going to make a lot of money and a lot of things going to go well for you. And you're going to look back at these times and realize you are building an infrastructure that you control. There is nothing like artist control.
I mean,
so that's why I would promote that anyone watch this, be a part of this, get in on this if you can.
I can speak to that a little bit if you want. I mean, that's kind of that's kind of, that's really been the mission this whole time. You see how artists are treated or have been treated in the past in this industry, and Chicago's in a great place. It's always kind of been in this great place where people come here to learn how to get really good at something, and then they go off to be, scalped and abused and used by the industry elsewhere, and no one has really kind of taken the reins to be like, hey, wait a minute, we're all here. Why don't we call the shots? And so it really does mean a lot to me, man, that you recognize that, and thank you, both of you and everyone else who's part of this network, for being part of building something better for artists and for the industry. That's what we're aiming at. So
the squad is killer, man. I mean, I feel like, as far as this show, or for like X and my involvement and Rob's involvement, I feel like we just happen to be puzzle pieces. You know what I mean? Like not a bigger puzzle piece, not a better puzzle, just a nice puzzle piece, like a piece that fits though.
Right. Well, we're all pieces, man. Like
but I think I'm extremely excited over so many of the other people that are on the network. You know what I mean? Like, I pop into shows all the time, and even if I can't listen to everything for a long time, man, I've listened to so many different good pods on the network that I'm like, God damn, that's so hilarious, right? Like, whether it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's the Lobo Den. I mean, I could go down a whole list of stuff I've jumped in on and been like, man, that's fucking hilarious right now. It's just it speaks to the depth of talent in the city. Oh yeah, and what's possible. So
people come here for a reason, man, and we need to stop them from leaving because they're too talented to go elsewhere, bro.
Yeah. Robert Hines, you look like you are chilling, man. You are a guest host for today. Rob Hines is enjoying it. Toby Jones, Mr. Toby Jones himself of Jones BBQ and Foot Massage. He closed down the shop today. I think there's a Lori Lightfoot order that's kept the barbecue shop from being open. I am wondering what Toby Jones is doing during this lockdown, how he's putting his time together. I don't know if you plan on filling us in with that, or if that's something that's down the road.
Yeah, there are some things I'm doing that I don't know what I could talk. You know, I'm in Hollywood now, and they make you sign shit to say you'll never talk about anything until they're good and damn ready for you to. So there's certain things I can't even talk about yet that are going on, but they seem to be positive. You know, like you know, because when you in this society, you don't know, they'll take the rug out from under your ass.
I'm only laughing because I've lived in LA, and I will live in, like, you know, LA and Chicago are kind of like homes for me, right? Like, so like I've lived in LA, not in the sense of like I left it out of anger, out of the sense of like I'm not there at the moment, but we'll be there again. And I'm only laughing because like the ease in which you could have and then not have something in LA is like, it's like if you've ever been in a major city and thought you're about to catch a cab and then it rolled by you.
You're like, damn.
Like that, and there's nobody in the back seat, and you're like, what the fuck?
That was my entire 2015. I mean, it just rolled up. I'm like, oh shit, this is it. And then I just watch it drive on by, you know. Just watch it drive on by. But I tell you this, Bobby, and I want you all to understand this. This is very important. I got a lot from you guys. I really did. That back in July, not this past July, but the July before that.
That's how long the podcast has been around, y'all.
Yes. When I left that podcast, I was a different person than when I walked in, right? And what I'm saying to you is I want to share that with you. I want you to understand what I'm seeing. So when you get to this point, you've already been there and you know. Now, it's never going to be exactly how once you experience it, but this is important to say, is that you guys control this. That's a big deal. And what I know now that I didn't know then is that even my thoughts control it. Like when you decide I'm gonna do some shit and you're like, well, I'm not going to take no. I'm going to find a way to make this work. And this is what I'm saying to you guys. This is an amazing platform. You guys are doing great work. And that's the thing you need to know. So every other time I was involved in anything, I was like, ooh, I hope they pick me. Not no more. I'm like, oh, they gonna pick me. Because if they don't, they're gonna miss a lot of fucking money. You dig what I'm saying? And that's the difference. The difference is when you go in there hoping you can help somebody, and when you realize, no, you motherfuckers need me.
Right.
That's the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, your growth and I mean, you know, you may have gotten that from our show, but we for sure, and I think obviously, as you can see by the results of your last year and a half, we are not the only ones who felt that way about you. I think it was. I think there are quite a few people that were and it's interesting because in areas in which I've gotten to have success, I find that people who are already in those successful places will look at you like, man, we've been waiting. Yeah, we've been waiting on you. like we told. Remember when we told you like 3 years ago, this is where you're supposed to be, and like you're like, yeah, and then you just went on about your long head, like.
We're not just telling you this because we nice.
right, yeah. People who have gotten to points would be like, yeah, dude, I remember I told you when you first started that, like, you had, like, I wasn't full of shit. There'll be people that were already, like, it's interesting because it's people who are successful then when you actually weren't shit, who said something to you, and then you finally get to, and you run into that same person again. They're like, yeah, man, I wasn't, like, I'm not successful because I don't know. There are people who are successful who don't know what they're talking about, but there are some of those that you find where you're like, oh, that person actually does know what they're doing, right?
Hey, Bobby, let me just make this one quick point, and we can
Yeah.
The reason why in some places it's so hard to believe is because the way we came up, everything around us was horrible, right? And so you thinking, well, like this shit, it's got to be horrible. So when people say shit to you, you like, oh, you just being nice. Because look around, everything horrible. You know what I'm saying? Then you get to a point where you're like, oh, they was telling me that because it was true.
Yeah, you get stuck on this idea of constantly waiting for the other shoe to drop, right? Like when you don't come from shit, you're just like, yeah, but everybody's got a thing, right? When you grew up in a shitty situation with no money, everybody's got a gimmick that's like about to make some money. Like, yeah, I'm like, we gonna flip this thing, and then the truck gonna come, and then we're gonna be, and then they start, it's a problem. They start all the shit they're gonna do when they have it, as opposed to the plan. Everything's about the boat and this shit, and then none of it is about like what we doing on Tuesday.
Of the work
right?
to get there.
So when you finally start getting into a world where you're dealing with people that are supposed to be reputable, Like I had a friend tell me this at one point because like I had a succession of things happening, and I'm like, but I'm not getting too excited, and I'm not getting too excited. And she was like, sometimes like it's just gonna be good for a while. Like it's okay to just admit that it might just be all right for a minute. You know what I mean? Like,
because what did it hurt?
Yeah, sure. At some point, something not great is gonna happen, but like. This thing where you're just waiting for them to come and like they're just gonna come take the house and move all your shit out and like I posted this the other day on Facebook. I have yet to live in an apartment that I felt confident enough to start hanging pictures on the wall.
You're like, I ain't gonna be here long.
I don't know, man. Who knows, man? I had in my Twitter handle, I had Bobby Antifa Hill for like 6 months. I don't know what fucking list I might be on at this point. I might be. And then proceeded to tweet shit that definitely backed up that thought process, right? Like it wasn't like I didn't do that and then just tweet cute animal pictures. That's what's going on, man. It's crazy. But it's, the year is coming to a close. We do have a couple Fridays coming up. By the way, Robert Hines is not just a guest for today, a guest host for today. He's going to be joining us. He is the newest new OG on a regular basis. Rob Hines will be with us. So I am super excited about that. It's going to be a lot. That added perspective is going to be good. I know you bring so much every time you're here anyway. So like, it's going to be good to have that perspective, and you catch some of the stuff that even X and I are catching from some political stuff. And another great place there is good. And I'm super excited about that. Christmas and New Year's are both going to be on a Friday this year, and so we are working to figure out what we're going to do. We are probably not going to be doing anything live that day. Because even though we probably may not be going to see them, we probably have to be on Zoom calls with the fam for sure. Mm-hmm. At the very least, I have chosen this year to spend my holidays doing the least amount of effort possible. Like in complete reverse to all the other years in which like there's this major burden on having to like, I got to put on this sweater I wear once a year, and I got to make sure that my booty smell nice for these people and all this other shit. You know what I mean? Like, I gotta trim the nails and socialize and cut the neck hair off and all that shit. Like this year, I haven't done my like Thanksgiving. I've made leftovers, I think, for Thanksgiving. I don't even know if I could.
Hey, we know who's not going to be on the cover of Gentleman Quarterly, but I gotta clip my nails and shave. The shit you're supposed to do every day. I gotta do all this.
I was shaving my head for the pod today, and I was like, what's the great thing about doing this over the air like this instead of in person is I only got to shave the front half of my head.
You would laugh when you
like, from here back, who knows what's going on, man?
Hey, you were not exaggerating. You're going to do the very least for the holiday.
I have a helicopter afro, that rear blade that just goes off the back. If I turn to the side too much, it'll just
yes.
With the whirring blade and everything, it'll just.
Oh my God, I can see that in my brain. Yeah, now I see that.
Yeah, don't let the mullet out. You know what I mean? How is he? But I mean, we're excited to talk about the end of our year. How has your year been for you? Because it's been a tough one for a lot of people. But you started your year off with the thing that's creates and helped you be as confident as you are going into the end of it. How has your year been there?
Well, when I left you guys, what wound up happening was I started calling some people that I knew who were successful, like who was making money. And one of them, I don't think he wants to be known, so I'm not gonna say his name, but one of them was like, "Hey man, you should have been famous a long time ago." And then he started calling people, and he got me on Your Mom's House podcast. That was huge. And then I did another podcast with a guy called Big Herc. His name is Marcus Timmons. Yeah. And the name of his podcast is Fresh Out. And I did a few episodes of that. And when that happened, when he released the first grouping of it, because he releases it every 15-minute segment. And when he released the first grouping of it, he was like, "Man, you going up real fast, dude. Like a lot of people like you." And so I'm thinking, okay, I'm not untalented, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's gonna work out, you know, but I don't understand exactly what's happening around me, right?
Right.
And what was happening is
because I remember when we first started, you were like, "You're gonna have to show me how to use Instagram, man. I got I got my Christian name on this motherfucker. I got an old church pic as my avatar. Help me."
Hey, y'all don't understand how true that is. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't have nothing but each other, so we be calling each other, and they don't really need shit. I'm calling them all the time. That is so funny because I had to call Bobby like, "Hey, man," and after a while, Bobby got tired of trying to tell me shit, so he was like, "Look, if you just go to YouTube, you know the shit that you do. If you just go to that and start typing in tutorials, it'll tell you how to do." And that was the best advice, man. I ain't called Bobby since. I'm like, oh, fuck Bobby. Let me go to YouTube.
Listen, the thing is, I am not smarter than you. I just found YouTube tutorials before you did. And I was nice enough to share that with you so you could also feel like a smart person. I didn't feel intelligent helping you. I just felt like I had looked some shit up that you didn't look up yet. That's all.
Oh my God, that was so funny. After that, man, everything started changing. And then finally, a couple of people were telling me about TikTok. So like in January, I did the podcast and everything was going on. And then I had a kidney transplant. I used to be on dialysis. So I got a kidney transplant in February.
Right.
And when I got out of the hospital, somebody sent me a link. And the link was a TikTok reference where me singing the Jones Barbecue song. And it had like thousands of people making these videos. And the videos had millions of views. And it was like a whole set of I was like, wow, this is cute. This is all I'm like, this is cute. And then,
what a nice homage.
You know? And so as I'm recovering and I'm getting better and better and more physical, I'm starting to be able to be up and do stuff. And we're in pandemic at this point. So I'm like looking at my phone.
Yeah, because you got your kidney I remember you got your kidney during Mardi Gras because I was at Mardi Gras.
Yes.
Probably spreading COVID. I have no idea. I was
patient zero. I was like, I'll be down there in the middle of that shit. This shit ain't gonna get better in the summer. Look, it's hot down there where he got it.
And he nasty, so.
Exactly, man.
But that was in February, so like the pandemic hit literally like right after that, right? So you were at home, you were at the crib.
Right. So I'm getting stronger. Because it was a very invasive surgery and it was rough, but it got relatively easy, relatively quick. You know, easier, relatively. So I'm up now and I'm doing things. And somebody had asked me, "Are you on TikTok?" I'm like, "Nah, I ain't on TikTok." And so finally, when I did get a TikTok, I thought it said something about you couldn't change your name on it. And I didn't feel like fucking with it. I'm like, I don't want to make a decision right now. So I just left it alone. And then I finally created it. And about a month in, nobody's following me. And I'm not saying nothing. It's just there.
Right.
This dude, Poppy_Dre1. He came into my inbox on Instagram and he was like, "Hey, man, a lot of people are asking me about you." He said, "I have 600,000 followers." Now, since then, this dude got 800,000 since then. And he was like, "I'm gonna add me. I'm gonna add you. Do a little 'where are you now' thing about you." And he does this, dude. The next day, I had 55,000 followers.
Jesus Christ!
By the end of the weekend, I had 100. Now this was a month ago. Right now, I have 295,000 followers, and it's starting to wane a little bit. People are starting to unjoin because I don't do shit but sit on my couch and talk.
You're not dancing right now.
I'm not doing it.
It's funny though because now's when you're actually saying the important shit. You got some shit to talk about now. This is the vital part. Yeah. So you picked up 300,000 followers essentially in a month after. Yep. Now because you didn't used to be able to control. You didn't have control over Toby Jones or Jones.
I don't. I still don't. I still don't. But you can't say I didn't play him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
they can't
really say much about that. And they've been doing things that didn't really include me. So I don't see any reason, it is what it is.
If other people are reposting versions of it and like getting millions of followers off that, the guy who actually played the part should probably have the ability to do that too. You know what I mean?
You think.
That's a mess. So you've been staying quarantined in California right now. Are you down on the vaccine that's coming out? You know, they got the vaccine coming out. They released it in England that William Shakespeare got a vaccine. They letting dead motherfuckers come back and get vaccines now. What an asshole parent to have, like, you're in England, right? Your last name happens to be Shakespeare. You have a kid. And you're going to put this burden on this motherfucker.
You know what? He probably might be related to the dude the way the English are. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, you know, most of them are.
Down, you know.
Like
so that
jeans.
might be his, you know, yeah, he might be his great
right
nephew or some shit.
Yeah. How do you feel about the vaccine though, man? We brothers, we've got a history of shaky vaccine experience in this country.
Yes. If I hadn't just had a transplant, and if I hadn't built up a rapport with the people that used to take care of me, and I know that these people wouldn't tell me things that weren't true. And everything that they've told me to do, I've done it, and I felt better each time. Even though I don't trust these people at all, and I wouldn't tell anyone else to put themselves in the position where they need them like that, I think that I would probably take the vaccine. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, well, different than some of the other vaccines, it's not one where you get like a dosage of the actual virus itself. That's not what's happening, which is, I think, to me, that makes me more confident than I would have been before. If it had been some regular old, like, we just gonna like anti-venom type shit, where it's like, we just give you here's how we gonna beat it. We just gonna give you a shit ton of it. I'd be like, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're not gonna give me a shit ton of it. Let me just tell you right now.
To fuck you up, but not for you to die. So you know how to fight the shit off. There you go.
Yeah,
that's science. That's what we have come with.
Also, how ridiculous, like, we acted like that's genius, right? Like, oh, we figured out that your body will fight some shit off, so we're just gonna give you a little taste of it. It just
oh my God, your white corpuscles just sitting around minding their own business.
You know? Now, why you gotta fuck me up? For some shit you may or may not ever have to deal with, right? We just gonna get your shit all fired up. Now your shit's all on the lookout. Yeah, what if I was that, motherfucker?
And you wonder why black men die so quick.
Right, that plus real life tension with people, man, you know?
Yes.
But yeah, like, obviously, you know, the easy thing is the Tuskegee experiment. That's an easy call out. But like, also, you know, the LSD experiments that the military used in their, like, you know, Majestic 12 shit and all that. Yeah. Like, that's all documented true shit about the cat with the military who had like carte blanche, and they were testing it largely on prisoners, on like inmates. And obviously, I don't think we need to you know, if you watch this podcast, you probably know already the percentage of inmates that are black compared to not black, or people of color compared to not people of color. So if you're wondering about who got most of them LSD tests in, you know, Northern California back in the 50s and 60s.
Oh my God.
You know, it's probably a bunch of gay black dudes. It's probably what it was, you know, because they were locking up gay people in the 50s and they were locking up black people in the 60s.
Right. You didn't fit the top criteria.
And black people are not immune to that.
Yeah. You
So
know,
skepticism about a vaccine is a real deal, you know.
Right. I wouldn't, you know, otherwise if I didn't have to, I wouldn't, because either way, I'm kind of screwed. So let's just say they are telling me the truth, and I don't take the vaccine, and I just got a new kidney, and I have a compromised immune system already. You know, shit, I need to be able to fight the shit off, you know.
Yeah.
But if
go ahead.
No. I mean, but if they fucking with me, they'd already been fucking with me, because I done got 2 or 3 of these motherfucking vaccines already. That was the old kind, so they didn't kill me. So we'll see.
I think there's an element where it's like, listen, if you've taken a kidney out of me and put one in me, fuck it, man. Like, I made that. I survived that. What the fuck you gonna do now? It's all bonus. You know, yeah, I will. I mean, so I am in a situation where I live with somebody who works for the state, and so and they're an essential worker, and so they are one of the people who would be on the list to get the vaccine early. which I mean, I would be on the list to get the vaccine early, and I would absolutely. If it's the one that I don't want the 70% one. If they're gonna give me the 70% one, I'm gonna hold off, right? Because that's what's gonna happen. There's gonna be like 6 or 7 companies. One of them is gonna give people powers. One of them is gonna, one of them ain't really gonna work, and like 3 or 4 of them are gonna be like, yeah, you probably good with those. And so like, I just need to be in the 3 or 4 range.
Like everything else in America, it's a tier system and shit. If you got good money, you.
Hey, man, yeah.
You see that shit with Rudy Giuliani?
Which part of Rudy Giuliani are we talking about, man? There's so many. Him getting COVID.
Yeah, that's the part that I'm focusing on right presently. Not the bad hairdo.
Right. We'll talk about the other parts for sure, but yeah, the COVID part.
Do you know how much security you got to have in the world where you decide you're gonna fart in the courtroom on TV, right?
Not even gonna say excuse me.
Man, I would feel like, man, I would have exploded before I let a fart go in that situation.
Man, I have said this to people and they don't realize it, but anybody who has dated me knows, like I have not knowingly or consciously farted in front of a woman I was dating 8 years, 10 years. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I just don't like. I don't even burp in front of people usually. And if I do, it is like very muted, covered up. Like that's I just
exactly right.
And it's not that like, I get it that body functions are natural and all that shit, but like I am already trying to maintain an appeal, right? Like I would already. My confidence level is I always feel like whatever room I'm in, I'm already on thin ice. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, Bobby, I swear that is exactly when I walk in the room, I'm like, okay, somehow I'm gonna fuck this up.
Yeah. I'm just like, man, I am so worried about people deciding they don't like me no more that for sure, if I'm like, they're gonna be like, get this motherfucker out of here.
Exactly. If I can control the shit I can control, the good side of the ledger, why wouldn't I?
Yeah. And people are, and that is, I don't know. I have all respect for people who are like, listen, it's just me. It's going to be a deal. But like, that is not, like, it feels like that is an excuse. Because there's, like, it's the same reason why, like, I wear a mask because I don't want to get this onto you. If I have like a bodily function, I'm going to try and go somewhere else because I don't want that being a part of your experience either.
Right. Like, being around me. Yes, exactly.
Like burps smell and are disruptive. Yep. Like, I don't want that in my face. Like, no, of course not.
And if it just slips out and I catch it as much as I can, I'm going to apologize for having done it.
Probably longer than I should. Probably longer.
Right. I make mistakes all the time, and I'm thinking the mistake that I've made is going to get me canceled when people already forgot about it and shit.
Oh yeah. Dude, learning how to sleep in ways in which I snore the least or not at all. Like, like how can I make sure nobody's gonna be like, nah, you can't sleep here? Because I have friends that are just like, if we would ever had to be somewhere, we probably gonna have to get separate rooms. I'm not trying to fall asleep in the same room.
Wow, I've been there, man. I've been there.
Cut down a forest, homie.
I used to weigh 320 pounds. Yeah. You've
lost some weight.
Yeah. I've lost I'm at 80 pounds now. I was at 100, but once I had surgery and stopped moving around and stuff, I'm trying to get back down now, another maybe 20 to 40 pounds I'm gonna try to lose.
Right.
But the thing is, man, when you got that much shit around, you got jowls and shit, it make it hard for you to breathe and shit, And I remember one time, man, I was in a meeting with some people, and my boy's like, man, why are you breathing like a pachyderm? Oh my God, dude, I was way too big, man. I'm at 5'10" at best. You ain't supposed to be 320 pounds at 5'10". What is that? You having that
underbreath thing going on? You kind of like you breathing even when you're not supposed to be breathing.
Yeah, and you got shit blocking off your airways. You hear, so I know what it's like to be a snorer. I don't snore anymore now.
Yeah, really.
I had
it's
sleep
amazing
apnea.
how that changes.
I don't have that anymore, any of that.
It's amazing how that changes, man. It's amazing. Now, does 300,000 TikTok followers, does that make you rich? Are you in need of this stimulus bill like the rest of us are?
Hey man, I'm on the same shit I'm on my grind. I'm saying as soon as they open this bitch up, it's gonna be like I'm gonna be at the starting line ready to run. I'm coming to a town near one of you motherfuckers. I will be in town. You understand me? I'm going to work in every fucking club that open up a door. You dig? I'm coming in there and I'm gonna do these horrible ass jokes and I'm gonna ride to the, and by horrible I don't mean the quality of them. I mean the facts that they present. You know what I'm saying?
The reality I'm gonna give you is horrible, but it's gonna be funny.
Absolutely. And so that's what I'm waiting on, man. I'm waiting for them to, because shit, I didn't know. Some of our favorite clubs, when I asked them for money, they was like, "Oh yeah, we thought you'd have been asked for more money." Right?
Shit, Jan, he's found out. He's realized he's really. Well, the jig is up. We got to pay him like we pay everybody else now.
And whose fault is that? That ain't nobody's fault.
No. Women make 78 cents to the dollar of every man, and Rob Hines makes 79 cents to the dollar of every man.
Man, it was a whole lot less than that. I ain't gonna even lie, bro. I felt embarrassed asking people for money.
Yeah. I mean, you're not the only one though. There is definitely, somebody posted about that today. Like there are a lot of comics that do shows for pizza or do shows for exposure or do shows for all types of shit. And like, that is part of what I think the American misnomer with the right to start something and the idea that you should start something. You know what I mean? Like right. America's a great place for opportunity, right? Like if you want to start a business, you certainly can. If you have all the necessary money to do so, but even that's not a lot, right? You can scrounge that money together. You can borrow from a couple people unless you're in a completely shitty situation, and you can at least get the LLC. The problem is that people think that because they've done that, they have the right to just do it any old way, or that it should work just because they have the business or they have the idea. And it's like, no, like I'm sorry. It's great that you get to live in a city that has all this great talent. But I remember, I was a part of the house music scene in Chicago in the 90s. And I remember my DJ friends then being like, I don't play in Chicago because these motherfuckers always be wanting me to take a discount. And like, if you can go play in, I have a friend who's a huge house DJ who was like, I can go play in the side of a mountain in Sweden for $10,000. Why the fuck? Would I be in the basement of a warehouse in Chicago in February for $250?
Right. What is that?
Like,
what is that?
Like what are we talking about? At the door? And that's not a knock on Chicago, and that's not a knock on only having $250 to pay somebody. It's a knock on like artists not recognizing their wealth, right, or their value or what they bring. Mm-hmm. And part of that is like, the artist has to do their job too, right? Like if you gotta show up, motherfuckers should show up for you, right? Like, but I've run shows in Chicago. Like for sure, there are nights that people showed up to see people.
Right.
Like that is, right. There are definitely nights where comics have earned their payout where I'm like, yeah, you earned this and a little extra because you had 15 motherfuckers that are like, I'm here to see so-and-so. Right. So like, but like, if you're going to run a show, like, part of starting a show is having a budget available that you can give something, even if it is $10 a comic, 15, something to say, I appreciate that you showed up here, and a value that is like more worth it than sitting at like now, especially because of all this shit, you can sit at home and you can curate a following with a little bit of internet money. You know what I mean? Like you put a little money into some self-promotion and you can do this shit. And like, why would you go drive somewhere or spend bus fare to go show up at a place where like the house is packed and the producer's happy and everybody and buys you a round of drinks at the end and sends you home with a signed picture of the show. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, dog? Like,
yeah.
Even if you were the opener and you're the shittiest cat on the show, you at least deserve $10 for your night. You know what I mean? Like, god damn. So, you know, just like James talked about earlier, like one of the things that I think is gonna help drive keeping comics there are, you know, hopefully the talent pressure, getting the clubs to recognize local talents on the weekends and paying them accordingly.
Yeah.
And that's not calling anybody out or I'm not shitting on anybody's structure. Like, that is not what I'm saying. But also, like, there is a reason why road comics go on the road to other places, right? Like, there's a reason why people are like, I got to get the fuck out of here. Because, and I love every booker, and I'll be happy to work the clubs for whatever. And I've worked the clubs for the dollar amount, not complaining, because I fortunately have had other ways. But like, hey man, if you're gonna headline a Saturday night show in Chicago, you should be paid accordingly. Wherever the fuck that is. Wherever the fuck that is. If you're the closer on a Chicago show that's a 9 o'clock show on a Saturday night somewhere, and that motherfucker's packed, you should get paid like a weekend headliner.
Right. That's right. And here's the thing, you know, we are, because we don't value ourselves, we have been fooled into believing a bunch of things that are not necessarily true.
We can get anybody to fill your spot in 10 minutes.
Right. You don't, you know,
what'd you book me for then?
A little while. And the other thing that's the great equalizer that I was paying no attention to is the internet. Man, the internet changed, dude. If people pull out their cell phones, they could find me within a second.
Yeah.
Dancing.
There are comics I had no idea. I mean, you look at guys like Andrew Schultz, those guys have built themselves followings just by, you know, having some good sets, having an interesting take on things, having good edits, and putting out decent content. You look at Joe Kilgallen. Joe Kilgallen's created a great following for himself just on like grinding it out. He came up with some, you know, these guys aren't reinventing the wheel. They're not doing something
They're barnstorming,
magical.
but they barnstorming on the internet.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's barnstorming on the internet.
In the meantime, there's no stimulus bill for us. We are still waiting. There's a lot of talk about who's holding it up. I mean, and the government's facing a shutdown if they don't come together on some other shit. And apparently I was trying to figure out what the holdup is. There's an issue between what each of them wants in the bill. So like additional aid to hard hit states from COVID is a holdup because the Democrats want that shit. And the right is trying to get liability protections, right? That's what they're trying to get. And so they're both coming out talking all sweet and shit about how they both want a stimulus bill, but none of them are willing to compromise on that shit. Do you see any money coming before we sort out Georgia?
I do not. I don't. I just don't. I don't. Let me tell you something, man. I'm 50. I'm 50 years old. And in the past 50 years, racism has not been as in your face as it had been the prior 350, right? So now it's a little more mild. And we have
the Atwater Southern strategy, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we have claimed this as a victory that they don't tell us how much they hate us now, but they still hate you, right? And I'm not saying everyone. No, I'm saying the government definitely does, because the part of the people that work in it hate you. That's just what it is. And we could find ways to dance around it and say, well, you know, it's not that I'm suppressing your vote. It's just I want to make sure it's valid. But this last clown these crackers elected has shown in no uncertain terms how he feels about people of color. So I would not suspect or expect, because we've been knocked into this false sense of security the past 50 years, that things have changed that much. Now, me telling you this where anybody can hear it might hurt my pockets a little bit. However, the truth is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that everybody white does a certain thing. No, but the people who matter and who could change shit, they don't give a fuck about you. So you shouldn't expect that they would do anything. You're going to have to figure out something on your own, like we have for the last 400 years.
Yeah. And the thing that's messed up is like there are a ton of broke white people who are also feeling this crunch, right? Like,
absolutely,
they're not putting a moratorium on evictions. They're not holding up rent freezes. They're not holding up. And I know plenty of white people who are servers and working, you know, what they consider to be lower level jobs and shit like that, who are feeling that. I mean, that's who. Everybody's like, oh, now these white people out here corrupting the Black Lives Matter movement. No, those are just also broke ass white people who recognize the system is fucked up.
Yep, absolutely, they know they getting screwed too. So, AKA the smart ones,
right?
But you still got that other group of most of them. Like, how did this man manage to get 74 million people to vote for him?
I mean, racism plays a good part of it. I would say that the problem here is still largely a problem by centrist Democrats. And the reason why I say that is because the reason that what gave Trump rise was the inability to push back against people. The Tea Party in 2008, 2009, 2010, the unwillingness of centrist Democrats to take that seriously and to take things like Occupy seriously and push for this idea of like getting back to normal all the time. They're always going to get back to normal. And normal for them is people are homeless, people are hungry, companies are cool, we go to dinner parties. We say a lot of nice shit, people are homeless, we do a program here or there, people are homeless, we do a program here or there, we send people to jail, right? Like that's the game plan. So for them, that's getting back to normal. And all that's happened is there's been a lot of people who are part of that machine getting churned up in the machine. You know, like one of the things I used to make fun of vegetarians about is, you know, the combines that chew up all the vegetables you eat, they just destroy young deer and shit like that, right? So like you got a lot of people who are just young deer in that machine who are now looking at Democrats who are centrist and going, you're not doing shit for me either. Like, why do you deserve my shit? And so what that ends up leading to is a mind that's willing to buy into they're probably pedophiles. They probably kidnap children and run sex trafficking. Like, because you've already seen them cave on the morals that got them there. This was a working class party. This was a party about the working people. And because they weren't good enough at defending that in the 80s, they got dusted. Mondale and Dukakis got dusted over that shit. And they turned to corporate interests to try and fund their bullshit. This is the whole game plan of what has happened to Democrats. And that's where neoliberals come from. They are not seeking structural change to anything. That's why when you hear Joe Biden talk to the civil rights leaders, they had a leak of this tape that he had talking to civil rights leaders, right? That's why when you hear him talking to civil rights leaders, he's talking about why defund the police hurt so many people. And why they are going to do some things, but those are going to be things around police accountability. To me, all that is you're just going to find more ways to punish people after they fucked up, but you're not trying to solve the root of the problem. Right?
Because, as I said at the beginning of the discussion, 74 million people. So you don't have any incentive to not act like a dick. There is a bunch of people who are armed and ready to go shoot at people who done nothing to you. And so if that is the case, then that means that these people, and it's always, okay, you can tell me as much as you want to tell me because you're right. All of those things that you said were true. But if we take that thought ride all the way back to its origin, it is always the same thing. And you know this because at the end of whatever program they choose to make, you always end up with shit being exactly like it was before they put the program in place.
And so that's why people abandon Democrats, and that's why people struggle, and that's why people go, well, fuck it, man. I might as well go with the guy who's going to make my pockets fat, or I might as well go with a guy who sounds like he's saying at least what he wants to say, or is in hide. Like that will draw people to even side with other ideologies that they normally wouldn't. The idea that someone is actually being, even if the honesty is stupid honesty, right? Like it's a dumb person's honesty. hearing somebody that you think is being honest will lead you that way sometimes if you feel like the people that are supposed to be honest with you are just not. And
me, the only thing I see two things. One, trying to keep a particular group of people subdued. And even if you could tell the people that sit next to them, I'm just trying to subdue them, but we love you still.
Right.
It still is the same if you go, oh, you love me? Well, okay, go on, shit on me. As long as more shit get on him. Right. You see what I'm saying? And that, to me, there is no, that's
y'all just gonna be covered in shit is what it's
right. All. Like, man, I have been around some people who I knew enjoyed my company genuinely. And I know that it's because they would try to convince me that Trump was good for me. You see what I'm saying? It's not like you take on, they're not.
Yeah, they like you. They like you.
Right. I genuinely care for you. And I want this to work out.
Right.
Stop following these people. And follow who? The motherfucker with the meat grinder in my face?
Right.
No. At least I get a couple of steps back with these people.
Well, and the other part that's been pushed here is that this is a country that is built on very Puritan and then Judeo-Christian type standards, and has a very archaic concept of masculine and feminine behavior, and what is male and what is female and what is acceptable as each. And any way that they can weaponize strength and weakness in different, you'll hear terms like alpha and beta or cuck or wolf or sheep. Those are all variations of this theme of determining masculinity or femininity or strength and weakness, right? Like, it's all the same attempt to try and do the same thing. And you see a lot of men and also a lot of women. Like, I'm on dating apps and shit like that. And like the number of like fitness women who are like in super crazy good shape, who are also crazy about Donald Trump. There are women who are like, their version of femininity is, I get strong enough that I can knock you out myself. Not like, but also I need a man who's going to be an alpha in the household. Like, that's the same thing they're looking for. It's this weird, like, I'm afraid to look like I'm less than to anybody, or that I might be different, or that like I'm going to change. Like, the only way to save ourselves is this nuclear family concept, single-minded monogamy, nothing off the very path. But like, the whole problem with that is that people just aren't that way. They just aren't, man. People just aren't one of two things all the time. Like, that's
true. That's very true. But if you could just none of this stuff is real. You know what I'm saying? So for you to point out that particular not real thing, it gets lost in the woods that none of this is, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's all crazy. And so that's why what I'm seeing when what you're saying, and every time you say something, it just leads me to the same thought bubble. And that is, I need to be a particular kind of strong, because if I'd have did to you people what y'all did to me, if y'all did that to me, I'd be getting ready to fuck you up. And I don't understand why y'all ain't done it yet. Do you know what I mean? This is what they thinking. So they getting themselves ready. You will never. That's why them two white folks stand in front of their house while people were walking by with they armed to the two. Ain't nobody ain't nowhere near your crib. You just want to, hey, if you come back here, we're shooting you. You know what I mean?
That is very true. Like, there's those moments, and I'm sure you've had these in a relationship where like you know you done fucked up and you're just waiting for the get back. And all friendships and relationships too. You know what I mean? Like, I know some shit, like, and nobody's like yelled at you yet or really taken you to task, but you know you should be, and they know, right? You know they know that you fucked up. And like you're in the same room and you both are just like waiting to get balled out about some shit, but like nothing has happened yet. And you're just like, and I feel that is a version of white person in this country where there's like, why haven't you? Because if it was me, we'd have had this conversation already.
It's been dealt with long time ago, because I don't take this shit. You see what I'm saying?
There's an element of the relative calmness of people of color in this country. And, the Joe Biden leaked audio, if you haven't listened to it, you should definitely go find it. The Intercept has a podcast called Deconstructed that breaks down all the audio that was in there. And he gets on with civil rights leaders, and it's like, what's his face?
Al Sharpton.
Al Sharpton and shit like that, which is already like, okay, fine, right? Like I'm already right. Like civil rights leaders, but not those civil rights leaders.
Right. I think Al Sharpton is cool, but that perm, man, you know.
Well, I mean, I think he wants to uplift blackness in America. I'm just not sure of like some of the other things he wants along the way are things I jive with, right? Like he's also one of those guys of the get back to normal type, where like he would like to see black people take a step forward, but as long as he can if he has to give up his dinner parties for black people to take 3 steps forward, that's out. Right. Like he'll argue for a step, but if it's going to compromise him at all for people to get 3, he's not doing that because he's already in, right? He's already in. But if you listen to the audio, first of all, everything Joe's on there in the audio. It's leaked audio. It was supposed to be a private Zoom meeting. It's leaked audio. And first, Joe comes in with this, I'm the only one who's done X, Y, Z. I got into this because of Charlottesville. He claimed no progressives were talking about Charlottesville, which is crazy. He talks about, but it sounds so much like he's talking about a business deal. It sounds so much like he's talking about like, and I think that's a problem with the politics of, especially the Democrats, this idea of like, here's the favor we'll do for the black people. Here's the favor we'll do for the Hispanic people. Here's a favor we'll do for the business people. And none of it is about a collective, like, here's what we got to get to. And so these are the ways that we have to give the things so that we can get to the place. It's all about like, I fed you, now leave me alone. I fed you, now leave me alone. Let me get back to the business of like this other bullshit. Making the rest of the world,
making the people happy who are always made happy throughout the entire situation.
Right. Yes, that is it. How can I appease this percentage of the population so I can get back to appeasing the richest people with the to get their tax cut shit done, right? Like, and that is how we seem to have approached it. There was a lot of good revealing stuff on there, but man, it made me upset. And then they named him and Kamala Person of the Year. Time Magazine named him Person of the Year.
In a lot of ways, for a lot of people, I'm sure he is.
He won by default.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
He won by default, man. That's exactly why he won. Like, against any other decent Republican candidate, like I think he could have lost to guys that lost to Trump on the Republican side in 2016.
Yeah,
like him versus Jeb Bush would have been a fucking battle. Would have been closer race than this one because Jeb Bush isn't as upsetting as Trump is.
No, but he on the same things. That's the difference, though. That's
exactly right.
Is that they the same cats? This is one of them just look like Bozo while he doing it. That's the only difference. Right. And so for me, like I'm like, man, I don't trust none of them. Like I don't have any use for the Democrats or the Republicans, because if the Democrats were effective, the Republicans would be afraid to do the shit that they do. They know this is what I ultimately think is happening. Now I could just be an old, conspiracy theorist, old black dude who smoked too much weed. But the fact of the matter is, it appears to me that all politicians know something that the rest of America doesn't. And that is, if the cards are actually played and there is no other options, the people who actually own and run America will take their ball and go home. And none of this democracy shit would be happening. It would just lay bare the plutocracy, or whatever they call it, fascism, or whatever form of government where rich people just
kleptocracy basically.
Exactly. They just lay it bare. You can't play like you don't do it no more. This is what it is. So they both sides are contorting the government in ways to make the people not realize, if this get too bad, them people because there was times in this country's history that the country had to borrow money from private individuals. Do you think they don't still owe that money? Even if they don't owe the money, they form relationships that you will never have.
Do you think when the motherfuckers need something from the government, they don't show up and be like, remember when we loaned you?
I remember my great-great-grandfather, if America wouldn't be shit if it wasn't, and they don't even have to say that now because they got people go and say it for them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the real deal about it is that there's an idea of the government that we've got here, but a lot of that is just because the people who are running the government, and I don't mean this in a shadowy way. I just mean like the reason why Jeff Bezos just hasn't bought up an army of people and just start running some shit on his own is just like, it's simpler to just kind of play this bullshit game, right? Like there's less bloodshed, there's less authoritarianism going on. It looks like you're part of the team, like you're interested, but like the idea that a person could have Jeff Bezos' wealth and no homeless people exist and not feel compelled to fix that shows that like there's bullshit going on. And the fact that like the fact that any group of politicians who have the ability to help people could simply enact a tax that could help make that happen, they decide not to, means they know there's some bullshit. Like they know that there's a level in which that they could push it to where Jeff Bezos would be like, nah, fuck y'all.
Ain't gonna happen.
I'm doing my own shit now. Like there's a there's a point where Apple could just be like, no, it's actually the United State of Cupertino. And we have this campus that we have is actually a ship that we will now fly in the skies 100% of the time, so we don't pay any taxes anywhere. You know what I mean? Like there's just it's a delicate balance going on of bullshit, right? And I think that's a lot of what's happening. I don't think. Go ahead.
No, just like they're getting ready to try to break up Facebook, it's too late. What are you gonna do? Like, what are you gonna do? You can make them sell it off, but they got relationships with everybody who would buy it.
It's not gonna happen.
So, like, even if you change hands, it's still they're gonna have to pay him one. And two, he probably still cool with the new dude that run it. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, that's what's gonna happen. Like there's still gonna be like if they make him sell off WhatsApp, he's gonna have some say. He's gonna be on the. Here's what happens: they sell off WhatsApp. WhatsApp becomes its own company. There's a board of directors. Guess who has a seat on the board?
Absolutely. Why wouldn't he?
You won't be at the head spot, but like if you don't think his impact, like to drive to make sure interaction between the two sites works. The real issue is they own so much of the data. The data infrastructure that they have is so ridiculous, you know, and what control that has on people is that's what they're really trying to mess with. The government really wants their hands in what's going on with the data. And I think that's what they're really pushing for. You had mentioned Trump. He is on his way out of office. There's been a couple of weird things that have happened. One, there is some Israeli cat who claims that there is a galactic federation out there, that there are already bases on Mars, and that the Galactic Federation has been in contact with Israel and the United States, and they're just waiting for Trump said apparently Trump wanted to expose it, but he was told by the Galactic Federation that it would cause hysteria, and so he is not. This guy was like the head of the Israeli space program or something for years. I don't buy this at all. I believe in, I want to be clear, I believe in aliens, right? I believe there are other life forms somewhere in the universe. I don't think they're here. And if they're here, they're not, if they are here, they're either purposefully not fucking with us and won't ever, and no one has had real interaction with them. I certainly don't believe that Trump has been told about them and he hasn't just immediately run on TV and told everybody.
Right. That's right.
That's my problem with it is like, Trump is definitely not concerned about spreading mass hysteria. That is not a thing he's concerned about. If anything, he is the chief spreader.
Right. That's right. Anytime he'd tell you some people in Seattle are too violent. You know what I'm saying? Seattle, come on, man. It's Seattle. Stop it. You know, it's crazy.
I also, the great way to hold on to your seat of power is to say that there is an impending alien invasion, right? Like, yeah, we're not voting me out right now. There's goddamn aliens on the other side of Mars.
And people out there in Seattle, people in Seattle are so violent, they need a shit ton of coffee just to stay awake.
I will say that's a disappointing thing about Trump's tenure. I thought for sure like we would have gotten a lot more insider information. Like, I thought by now he'd have told us who shot JFK for real. I thought he'd have told us if mind control was real. Like, I was expecting him to be like, all right, so today, just bust out a book and be like, here's the shit I found out about 1922.
Hey, well, this what I know. This what I found out. These motherfuckers got an X-ray they can shoot at you to make your skin feel like it's on fire. Who knew they had that? But thanks to this president, we now know they will use that to disperse. They're like, we decided not to use it. But that don't mean you don't still have it.
Right, you have it. They didn't break it down and put it back into the parts sections.
What made you feel you needed it? You dig what I'm saying? I thought we were free. Why we got to have an X-ray? What is that all about?
The skin burn and X-ray.
Yeah.
Well, he's down to do, he's on his way out, and on the other end of things, speaking of crazy shit like that, he had his the 9th execution since July occurred last night. It is the 9th since then. It is I think there's 5 more scheduled to happen. It's the first time I think that a lame duck president has executed anyone. And these are largely at the tail end of this. It's like 4 Black people and a woman that are being executed.
How many people total?
This year,
or since he started with the people
in July, it's been 9 since July. So there's 5 more. So we're talking like 14 maybe total, 15 total, something like that. They started off with white people, and they started off with white people who kind of be like, see, we're we kill a couple white guys too.
Can you imagine your existence as a white person meaning so little that they are willing to execute you to show other people that they executed a couple of white there's your only contribution.
Now there's a white guy who can say ain't got no privilege. Okay.
Oh, that's funny, man. That is crazy, man. I just feel like we all eating from the same moldy ass bread. Somebody's gonna have to put the shit down and walk somewhere else and eat something else and tell all the rest of us, hey, come over here. This shit is better.
Yeah, I feel it's weird that Amy Coney Barrett is also like chill with all of that, right? And this every life is precious, anti-abortion. I mean, I've always struggled with that idea as someone who is pro-choice and anti-death penalty. The idea.
I can't keep explaining this enough. It is the same bullshit. This is nothing more. Just like they've told you the game plan. Remember that dude? Right. I can't remember his name, but it was a dude that worked for Reagan as his budget director or some shit like that. And he just told the whole game. He said, look, we couldn't keep saying nigga all the time. We had to let that go. So we started saying other stuff, busing. Yeah, we bring up busing, and then that got old. So then we started talking about cutting budgets and shit and entitlements. And then we start it's the same idea, but they're trying to make it more palatable so that they have a reason for the people who they thought might feel a little uncomfortable. Well, let's don't tell them that's what it's for. Let's tell them it's to cut government spending.
Yep.
Nothing about the Reagan presidency was about anything but racism.
Yeah.
And you can tell that by the amount of crack that went into neighborhoods that were starting to thrive. And this is what's so interesting about being alive is that you can see your piece in history of other stuff that's happened to Black people and like, oh, this is what they did to us, this generation. And every generation can tell you that, right? And so to me, if that's the case, then there's nothing, all of it is around that. All of it is around making sure you don't realize how useful you really are, but to still be able to use you. The Matrix. It's the whole Matrix.
Yeah. On the plus side, there is that new DA in LA, George Gascon, and he came in on day 1 and said he's ending cash bail. He's ending bail entirely by January 1st. He is ending the death penalty. He's looking at people who were put into long prison sentences. He's going retroactive, so he's going to create like 20,000 inmates will be up for release. And he's opening up 4 officer-involved shooting cases that were closed to be like, hey, yo, we gotta go back and check the shit because this is foul as fuck. Right. So like there is an attempt to balance that on one side, or at least somewhere there's some people who are getting that message and trying to figure that shit out and go a different route. You know what I mean?
I'm very happy with everything that you said, but I'm also curious about a couple of things. Like
what type of security detail he's got?
Well, that comes with that job. That was what I thought from the beginning. You that's your baseline.
Right.
My question is, okay, when you let all these people go,
right,
what are they going to do? Are they going to have resources? Because the only thing I can see, that's the thing, man. America could do whatever she want to do, but if she ain't gonna put no dough in it, because the fact of the matter is, without you can't really be free in a capitalist society without having any money.
Right.
And so if there is a slight tick up of crime, then everybody gonna say, well, look, we tried to be nice to him, but we just you know what I'm saying? And so for me,
and there's an uptick in crime anyway right now because everybody's hungry. Ain't nobody got no money, right? We already broke. This is I wouldn't let them out tomorrow. I'd be like, listen, we go treat, like maybe up the level of care they're getting where they're at. You know what I mean? Like, oh, let's move y'all to the cool people wing about the oops we done fucked up wing and try to rehabilitate you a little bit more real quick and give you some nice meals and shit before we let you out.
I used to be a jail guard, man. I used to do that.
Yeah.
I did that for 10 years. And I can't say if it's unique to Cook County. I can't say if it's this way and throughout the whole system. But the way that they take polls, I have had a huge sample size of people that I've been around that were considered criminals who weren't particularly criminal-like.
No. I mean, I live with somebody who works in a state prison right now, and nothing has changed my thought towards the idea of abolishing prison than knowing about how it is and how easy a bad day can turn into 40 years in jail. A bad decision, of not being smart, not having the right upbringing, early life trauma, all these things that are like, again, it's this country's refusal to get to the root of the actual problem, right? Like we don't ever want to address the root.
It's always going to be resources. That's the whole reason for making America what it was in the first place, is so you can make listen, you don't get 200 years of slavery, then another 150 years to just out and out cheat the people who weren't slaves and not get to be a superpower. You know what I mean? You ain't had to pay for shit for years.
That's the payoff, right? That's the reward. Speaking of,
my family is from Mississippi.
Right.
And everything in the South revolves around farming. Before there was a tractor, there was a nigga.
Yeah, right.
Man, the world wanted the South's cotton. The entire country, not just the country, the whole world.
The whole world. Oh yeah. Yeah, dominance is a big deal, man. When it comes to dominance, actually on the entertainment side, to do something lighter to get us out of here, Disney is asserting its dominance right now. They announced over 50 films, series, and specials that they have coming out. Are you a Disney Plus guy? Do you have it? Do you watch any of the stuff on there?
I do not, but they really calling me. I mean, my inner nerd, I want to see The Mandalorian so bad. And I don't, what's the name of it? Is that the name of it?
Yeah, The Mandalorian.
Yeah, because I thought I was getting it mixed with something else.
I
want that shit so bad. And I'm like, dude, I might have to get these motherfuckers my $15 or whatever it costs.
Dude, I think if you have Hulu, like it's only like $6 more or something like that. I don't know what the current cost of it is, but I'll be honest, like having access to, like I said, I've been watching a lot of the Clone Wars lately because I started watching Mandalorian, and there's a character that Rosario Dawson plays on The Mandalorian, who is now, they announced, is getting her own series, by the way.
Oh,
so Rosario Dawson's going to be the lead, and the character got its start in the animated series, the War of the Clones, right? So like, I've gone back now because I skipped it because I'm like, animated series, whatever. I wasn't paying any attention, but I had to go back and I watched all that. I've been watching all that shit, and it's dope as like. You know how you used to watch, you used to watch nothing but cartoons, and then there's a point you're like, I don't watch no cartoons anymore. And there's just something about the implausibility of comic action, I guess, that kind of like your mind kind of adultizes away from or whatever. Mm-hmm. But like, man, watching that shit, I'm like, oh, this could easily be live action. It'd be just as dope. It's not the way at least Star Wars live action is. This could totally be turned into live action. And now watching The Mandalorian and seeing an older version of that character, I'm like, oh yeah, this is ballers. They announced 50 series, a bunch of Marvel series, They showed the trailer for Loki, which is coming out. They showed God, what are some of the other things that have come out? They've got shit coming out of Hulu. They're doing a Lando Calrissian series.
Man.
They're doing Obi-Wan Kenobi. They've got another Rogue movie coming out. It is they're doing another Pinocchio. They're doing a prequel. They're doing an earlier version of Buzz Lightyear's life, just called Lightyear, and they got Chris Evans doing the voice for that.
Wow.
So yeah, they announced a ton of crazy shit, which is pretty wild. So yeah, get Disney Plus. It's pretty dope. On the DC side of things, Batman they have a new Batman in the comic series. They finally got a brother playing the role. So for I think the first time, the major Bat characters, at least two versions, are going to be black, because they got a black Batwoman now on the CW. So they got a black Batwoman, and now Lucius Fox's other kid, Tim Fox, is the new Batman, which is pretty dope. The Bulls are back tonight. The NBA is already back. You watch basketball, Rob?
I do watch a lot of basketball. And I'm out here with the Lakers, so I've been enjoying it immensely.
Yeah, everybody's been having a good time. I'm such a big Bulls fan. It's been so disappointing, but they are back already tonight. I'm expecting a lot of injuries this year. These motherfuckers were soft. Well, not on the teams that suck, because the teams that suck haven't played in a while. But the playoff teams, they just played like 4 weeks ago, man. They were
right. They didn't have no time to recover. None at all.
Yeah, this might be one of those years I'm really considering getting a league pass, just because I'm excited to see how the Bulls do. Right. And the shit isn't too crazy expensive, so I'm super considering it. I don't know. Nobody's going back to games just yet, so that shit ain't happened. Are you a go to a game kind of a guy? Do you go to games at all?
It's weird out here in LA, things fall in your lap. And I got the opportunity to go to a Skybox for a couple of games, and I was kind of spoiled. Like, they bring food to you, they do all types of stuff, anything you can match. Hey, y'all got some Snapple? Yeah, you didn't look in the refrigerator? Oh, damn, whatever odd ass. They got
like a little elf in the back hiding shit from behind, because no matter what you ask for, it's in that little refrigerator.
Right. That's what you got to love about out here, man. Like when you go to your first big time meeting where they talk about doing some business with you, these people are very pleased with getting you things to drink for some reason.
They want you to be
drink, like every meeting I've ever been to. And then if you ask for some odd shit, if the better the meeting, the more likely they are to get the odd shit.
Sometimes it's like, oh no, they won't tell you they don't. They'll tell you they're out of it. If they don't have it, they won't be like, oh, we don't have that here, or we don't keep that here, or nobody drinks. They'll just be like, oh, we ran out, I think. They won't be honest with you about it, because they don't want you to be upset about some shit. But they will send somebody off if they need to, or they'll ask ahead of time. They do that shit.
How bad they want you?
They'll ask like, oh, do you have any particular drink needs or anything you want to have for the meeting? And you're like,
exactly. They check it ahead of time. They check ahead of time. I was at a meeting. Man. And I was actually shooting a pilot. I was shooting a pilot for a show, and it was my birthday. And they found out it was my birthday, man. And the next thing I know, they brought out all types of cupcakes and stuff and all this other stuff. And at one point, this is the beauty, man. This is why people want to be celebrities. It's this the reason why. I got something in my eye. And I was like, man, anybody got some Visine? And like 15 minutes later, they brought me individually wrapped Visines, dog. It was crazy.
It's way too much.
Just struggled through the shit. They was like, nope.
Last thing I want to end on, because I want to honor this cat. When I was in college, we downloaded Friday. We didn't download. We had Friday. We watched that movie probably 3 times a week. I mean, every other day it was on. We used to be able to quote lines from that like crazy. And there's a character named Devo, played by Tommy Tiny Lister, who was also known as Zeus in the WWE. He passed away at 62 years old. Man, I mean, that dude, when he showed up in a movie, you knew some wild shit was about to go on.
Yes. You knew that there was somebody about to get beat up.
Or he showed up in a Batman movie, and I was like, oh, shit. It's about
fucked up. Like, before y'all hurt him, he gonna hurt a bunch of y'all. And like I man, dude, it's because we grew up around those types of dudes. Like when at the end of Friday, where he was like, beat him down, beat you down. I was like, yeah, I know that dude.
Yep, I know that guy. Yep. That's for real. So if you haven't seen Friday ever, go check it out just to catch Debo in action, or go find some other Zeus material from the WWE. Rob, it's been great having you on this week. I'm so excited you're gonna be a regular guest of the show. Where can people find you on either TikTok or wherever you're doing most of your stuff? What's your social media?
On TikTok, I'm at Original Toby Jones. No, at Original Jones BBQ. At Original Jones BBQ.
Yes.
And then
dropping science for him.
Yes. I watched the tutorial to help me with and then Robert_L_Hines 1 on Twitter, and Robert L. Hines on Instagram.
Our next goal will get those to all be the same. That'll be the next move. We'll get them all get separate. You can find me at Mocha_Jesus on Twitter and Instagram. You can find the show at New OGs Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Get over to @People of Comedy or @People of Comedy Network. Find out all their pods and shows. They've got a ton of great stuff. If you haven't gotten Bobby Connon's album out, it is out right now. Bobby Connon's album is called Greatest Hits. Get that. Go find Cam Gillette's album. Thank you guys so much for being here this week. We'll catch you next week. XL will be back. It'll be the three of us. It'll be wild. Catch us. We're out. That's what's up.
Yes.
A lot of dizzy pain when I started. Fuck your bitch, now she get attachment. She get calling. High school, you was that nigga. Now you falling. I'ma zigzag through the gang like I'm smoking on trees. Niggas won't